Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Campfire Discussions, and this is Frank Perkins.
Hi.
He's awesome. If you've seen Backwoods Brothers, you probably saw him on there.
How you doing?
Tonight we're talking about relationships, marriages or friendships, how to keep your relationships healthy in this crazy, crazy time. So we'll start off with, how do you keep your marriage healthy, Frank?
Well, it's a lot of work, and I think the mistake that people make sometimes is thinking that there should be smooth sailing. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I had never been married before. I had never lived with anybody before, and that was my choice because I know a lot of people were doing that living together thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's very conducive to getting the tools to learn how to, navigate around those difficult times you have in a marriage. But I love my wife, and so we're going to have times, and we've had them. We'll be married 30 years next October. So I think a lot of it is people need to make sure that they're really in love with who they're getting married with, and they're doing it for the right reasons, so that when times get tough, barring something that's really drastic, they're just things that are going to come up, and you got to be patient, and sometimes you just really need those tools to learn how and when to fight, when to not fight, negotiate, navigate around the person. Because that's really important. Otherwise, you'll be fighting all the time.
And it helps that you have a pretty awesome wife. She's one of my favorite people in the world. She's pretty understanding.
She's pretty wonderful. We're both very similar in a lot of ways. That's why we don't fight well.
I noticed that.
If there's a fight with us, it doesn't go well. And so that's even another good reason to avoid. Sometimes you're going to have to deal with those things.
Yeah.
But she's pretty awesome. I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I'm really lucky. I tell everybody, Joel kind of changed me as a person because we got married as kids. I was 21.
Wow, that's young.
He was 23. And I was I grew up as the sick kid. And I had a lot of friends. I got along with lots of people. I was usually the girl that was friends with all the guys. But I also had a really low self-esteem, and I let people walk all over me. And I credit him to teaching me how to change that.
Well, when you have grown up with that, or you've had parents that pretty bad parents, that can carry on throughout your life. That baggage. So, especially, I think sometimes there are some women who have a lot of friends who are males.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting concept in a lot of ways, because I was always told by several people, you can't be friends with a woman, or a woman can't be friends with a guy. I don't believe that.
Well, no, me either. Look at us. We're friends.
Well, yeah, I know. And granted, recently I had a situation that, I don't know what to even call it, but it had nothing to do with the gender.
Right.
It's a matter of two people who have things in common, or they click together, and they respect each other, and that's how you have the friendship. And that respect is you're the same all the time.
Yeah.
I have a great respect for people who, no matter what they're going through at the time, like you with your physical issues and limitations, or me, I can have a bad day and go into work, but I am not going to let that dictate my behavior.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I see other people all the time doing that.
Leading with emotion.
Yeah, especially to friends. They're like, they walk in and you think to yourself, well, did I do anything? What did I do?
Why are they mad at me?
They're mad at me. They're not talking to me. And yet, maybe sometimes I'm guilty myself of holding people to a little higher expectation, because I won't do that.
Right.
And I've been in times when things have been lower as you can get, but if I walk in somewhere, I will not ignore somebody that says hi to me, or ignore a friend that talks to me, just because, things are going bad for me. And I think that's critical in a friendship. It is for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's really important. And I think
communication. Yeah.
And it's really great, that obviously Joel didn't have any problem with you having, guy friends.
No, he's used to it. We're very secure. I tell people that all the time. You have to have trust in a marriage, I trust him 100%. He trusts me. Although I tease him because he's got a little fascination with a certain singer in our town right now, so I tease him
oh,
a
yes,
little
yes.
bit.
I've seen that in action.
But, it's all
There's nothing
good.
wrong with that.
No, because he likes her talent. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Like Shirley watches this show called Bones with David Boreanaz.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she loves this guy. It's like her favorite guy in the whole world. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
And if I get a kick out of it a lot because she likes guys that are older when they get to looking older.
Yeah,
he's a really
mature.
handsome guy, but she goes, no, he needs to be a little older. And I laugh to myself going, well, everybody likes him now, but that's her choice. People have those little idiosyncrasies, about themselves and what they like in people.
Yeah, that's true.
But I get such a kick out of her watching it. She just watches it over and over and over again.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, it was a great show, but I've seen them all, so.
Yeah.
But it's funny, and it's good. It's good to have that, like, if I'm trying to think of somebody that, she's political, but I like that Kayleigh McEnany. She was the president. I love her. I mean, she's beautiful, but she's so intelligent, and her personality. I mean, I watch her on Fox, and I just think she's just great. I think that's another thing about marriages. If you don't have the respect and carry that respect through until there's some pretty serious reasons not to, you got to have that. Because if you disrespect your spouse, well, where are you going to go?
Yeah,
with that?
That's true.
That's a pretty
That's
tough
a pretty
one.
dangerous situation. I wanted to show everyone what's going on here real quick before we keep going. So last week I talked about outlining, and you guys gave me some really good ideas, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get this on camera very good, but I chose the dark gray, almost black outline for the blue there, and I did the white outline up top, but I'm working on the outline on the bottom words while we're talking today.
If the bottom was darker like the top, if that would stand out more.
Oh, maybe. Who knows? But you know what? It kind of works because having the darker where the white outline is and the lighter where the dark outline is, it kind of works out. Plus, I love like the natural look of wood. I don't like making it like
that's
perfect.
Really, really cool.
Thanks. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, we have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I know who asked this question because he told me he was going to ask it last night.
Tony?
No, somebody else.
Okay.
I won't give him away, but he says,
I don't
"Hey Frank, what sound does a Canadian goose make?"
Honk. I think I saw this somewhere on Facebook too. Yeah. Is that the answer?
Yep, that's what he wanted you to say.
Honk.
Somebody else said February 20th is my 19th anniversary with my wife. It's not easy, and it does take hard work to keep it together, but it's worth it. Nice. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, that's great. 19.
That's awesome.
Anything over 10 years in this day and age is a lot.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Joel and I will be 15 years in December.
That's great. Yeah.
And for us, we got married really young. We got married kind of fast, and everybody said, "You're making a mistake. You don't know what you're doing, and it's never going to last." And here we are, and I don't see it changing ever.
Well, I think back when I was on the police force, I had a couple good friends. One got married. He had a very rich, his wife had a rich family. Mm-hmm. They threw this wedding and spent over $100,000 on it. And Shirley used to tell me this will last about 30 days. It lasted about 6 months.
Wow.
So I think I bring it up because I think sometimes people are more infatuated with the idea of being married than understanding what it's going to be like being married.
Yeah.
You're going to see all the things that person has, good and bad.
That's true.
And so that's really important.
It's work, people.
It is.
I tell everybody, if you're not going in it expecting forever and you're going in it with an out clause already in your head, then you're not going to stay married.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And there's so many distractions, too.
Look at that.
Remember
Look at
to
the
join
words.
the conversation by commenting.
Oh, there's more comments I want to get to really quick because they're
them.
saying hi to us. Somebody said, "Hey, Brandy and Frank, without trust, there's no relationship."
Exactly.
Ben, hi, Ben. Ben is one of my best friends.
Oh, really?
Kaylin's big brother, so he's kind of like a big brother to me. He's awesome. He's a really good person, and you've moved somewhere now, so I don't know where that is, but I heard that you got a new job, so congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great, Ben.
Proud of you. And Jack Allen says, hi, how you doing? How's I can't remember his name. Is it Allen? This guy got put in prison for defending people against Antifa.
Oh, really?
And now he's in prison.
Yeah, that sounds about right for today's world.
Yeah, and so she keeps up with him and like tells everybody how he's doing and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy.
That's awful.
Yeah. Hi, Christy. So what I wanted to do was there's a couple Bible verses I sent Joel about marriage, and I thought Alan Sweeney is the guy that's in jail. So pray for that guy because he got put in jail. I don't know the entire story. I just know that it was completely not righteous. It was not a rightful jail. And he's been put in there for defending people during some sort of riot and something about paintballs. And like he paintballed
I've heard that.
Shot a paintball at a guy, and now he's in like a major prison and having to do hard time.
With the other people burning stuff down and killing people, they're out.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Ben says he bought a house in Sweet Home. Ooh,
Sweet Home, Alabama.
Cool. Sweet Home, Oregon.
Okay.
So the first Bible verse I'm gonna have Joel put up, and then we'll read it and talk about it a little bit because these are some of the verses I use. Which one? There's 2 marriage verses. There you go. Whether then it is I or they, this is what we preach, and this is what you believed. Well, that's not the right one. Okay, well, you know what? That's a good verse, though. But I think it was the one before that, and it's talking about how, however, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. And that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Basically,
and if you're not going in there loving your spouse as in the same mindset of God loving us, to love them despite their faults, love them despite the problems that go on, love them and trust them and respect them, then you're not going to last.
No, and you know, you have to do that even when times are bad.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you can be mad as hell and be in the middle of a fight or whatever, but deep down inside, you respect and you love this person and just say, well, it's going to work itself out eventually. I'm not just going to go and chuck it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, the Bible says a lot of things about that and focuses a lot about both women, you know, and men, you know, respecting one another and loving one another. And that's the whole key. There also was another Bible verse I always remembered regarding, you know, wisdom, having wisdom and about talking about wives. Yeah. And it said, you know, having a good wife is more valuable than the biggest pot of gold you could ever find.
Yeah.
And it's things like that when you have something like that you cherish it, treasure it.
Yes, because, don't take it for granted, guys.
Taking things for granted like that is really a bad thing.
Yeah.
And remember, February 14th coming up, okay? So that's Valentine's Day.
Do something, people.
Do something.
Make it special.
Yeah.
Well, I know on the 12th, we're going to Jessie Lee's concert, her barn party. And the boys are emceeing that. And they're really excited. The Backwoods Brothers are emceeing that.
Where's that at?
It's a barn party, so it's on her property. So in order to
So it's in a barn?
It's in a barn.
Okay.
Yeah, and they do it because a lot of these places that she would normally play are either so restricted that they're canceling all the time. And so they have these parties either in the barn or when it's good weather outside on their property. And they set up all this stuff, like a big stage in both their barn and outside. It's really
that's
cool.
That's really nice.
And the boys are going to MC it, and that'll be really fun. And there's a big surprise that night, too, so everybody should pay attention to it.
Yeah, I bet Joe really can't wait to be in this.
Oh, he's so excited.
Yeah.
He can't wait. And, but yeah, to get back to February 14th, you do something special for your loved one. I know... Like for us, I don't know if it's the same for you and Shirley, but I know for us, sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget to make things special.
You know, I'm going to pat myself on the back because for years and years and years, I always made sure that I did something for her or send her flowers or something I used to do a lot.
Aww.
And ironically, some of it turned out not very good because I would send them to work and she would get negative comments or flack from coworkers who were
that's awful.
Just jealous because
she has someone
flowers,
that cares.
and she didn't really like that attention as so much, but it kind of hurt my feelings a lot because who cares what they think, you know?
Yeah.
You're getting the flowers and they're not worth thinking about, but I have always made it a point, and she's really good at it too. But so I kind of stopped doing that work thing because
Yeah, you make it more.
It just feels bad. Whoa, what happened?
Our camera went wonky.
Wow.
We're so little.
I know. There you go. We were small. But Valentine's Day especially, and it doesn't mean just because, you're dating is an exciting time.
Yeah.
When you're married, it's a very...
You got to keep it going.
Yeah. Even, for 30 years coming up.
That's amazing.
I still will always do or get something for Valentine's Day for her. I don't care whether she likes it or not.
Yeah, Joel's really good about that too. I mean, he will do something for Valentine's Day. And he made a really big point this year, like when we were talking to the ECW board.
Yeah.
Or like whenever we're having meetings discussing what we're doing, he goes, okay, but nothing on this date because that's Brandy's birthday, and this year she's getting a special birthday because it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And this year he's been very adamant that we're going to have our Christmas and we're going to have my birthday and we're not going to. I mean, we love serving the community, but you also have to take time for yourself, and you got to do those things to nurture your relationship.
Yeah, I think they're important, and I think milestones and days like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I used to actually send Shirley flowers all the time, not just Valentine's Day.
That's sweet.
So, it was kind of something I just did. And when she first started off, she was in Denver, and I was here.
Oh, man.
So I would send her flowers in Denver.
Aww.
So I pretty proud that I have always tried to acknowledge that with her, because I think it's important, and so many people don't have that. Got any more things on there?
Somebody said that Alan, the guy we were talking about, he was also waving a firearm, so they got him for that too, and some other stuff. So, like I said, I don't know the whole story. I just know that it seems really not very just. What's going on?
No, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of the people that were in that January 6th thing are wasting away in federal prison, and they really didn't do nothing. Yeah. But they were there. So there's a lot of stuff that's been done that's really absolutely horrible. And people serving 10, 15-year terms in prison just for being at the January 6th thing, because I don't want to get political, but they keep just wanting to blow that thing up.
I know.
Make it the biggest thing. Well, one thing compared to 541 riots.
That's what you said, 541.
541.
Crazy.
And 91% in Portland did not get charged with any crime. So
that's nuts. And then this guy sits in jail. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
In this world today, like with all this negativity and all this craziness going on, how do you find good friendships, people to be friends with? How do you decide? And then how do you keep those friendships healthy and not go down the path of like blowing up in your face?
Well, I mean, as you get older, it's harder to have friendships because you're older, and sometimes there's a generation gap.
Yeah.
Like where I was at work, I mean, I was twice as old as most of the people. That doesn't mean anything. I have a good friend in the military that worked there. I think that first of all, you get that connection maybe with somebody in the beginning, and then the more you talk to them, the more you develop a connection. And when you have that, then you kind of look at who the person is. And for me, that's what I do. I want to know how this person is, who they are, how they're going to act toward me. Because if you're not going to get treated somewhat the same way in a friendship, well, then you either need to not make it as serious a friendship as you may want it to be,
right,
and act that way. But so many times, and I've seen this in my life on several occasions, where I've been friends with somebody for many years, and all of a sudden there was no more friendship, and it was nothing that I did. I racked my brain because I know if I did something wrong, because I'm always accountable to myself to think, okay, I must have done something to create this situation, but I didn't do anything. And then you got to figure out how people are today as well. I mean, I like stability, but the most important thing to me is consistency.
Yeah.
I want someone who's going to be consistently the same person most of the time.
Well, yeah, of course.
But they're not.
No.
I mean, they're all over the place, and it's pretty hard to build on that, to think, okay, let's see what kind of mood this person's in. Let's see, what's going on with them.
Yeah, that's true.
And to me, I think that's the biggest obstacle that I see. And so I know I have a really good friend when the connection's there, and you can tell they're excited. They seek you out, whether it's at work or, calling you up, and it's a mutual.
Yeah.
If you're the only one that's really putting into the friendship, well, then that probably might not be the best friendship for you.
See, I can agree with that. I have lots of friends in different walks of life. I have very few close friends. Because of what we do, we know a lot of people. So we have a lot of people that we know and we're friends with. And because of situations that have happened in our past and recently, I don't trust as well
I know.
As I used to. But I have friends like my friend Kaylin that I mentioned, her brother, which said Joel is an awesome person, by the way. Her and her family, they're family to me too. Yeah. And that's over time it's become that way. That's because we had that deep friendship. We've even lived with them at one time when we were going in between places. And I know that specific human being, if I don't talk to her for a month or two, it's because we're busy, because she lives in a different place. We're busy or whatnot. I know that I can call her up and it's the same as it always is.
You pick right up.
But then I have other friends who it's like, okay, I also know this person needs more communication. Or this person is somebody that lives in my town. I can spend more time with them. And I think every friendship is different. I do know I lack that. I have a problem with communication sometimes. I can be that way. Like this past couple weeks, I've been a terrible person to be around. I'll just put it that way because I've been so sick and not feeling good. Not sick like as in contagious sick, just lupus sick.
Right,
I can be that way. So that's hard because you got to know how to navigate that.
You said something, though, that I think is really important, but I think it's really a positive thing that you have your friends and you know how maybe each friend what they need from you. Some friends need more contact, maybe some don't need as much. But when you recognize that, you can nurture that friendship by doing that, like with us. I mean, we talk every night.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're not, I already know. I know that you're not feeling well and you're tired because I'm that way too to a degree.
Yeah.
But when you really get to know a good friend, I still got to say I have a hard time trusting.
Yeah.
Period.
That's hard in this world too because people are so awful.
And you can have a friendship be great for years and it still can watch it explode for nothing. I can't stand people who, even when I was a police officer, I would tell people, I go to domestic violence calls and ask, why did you do that? I don't know. And I talk to people, friends, why did you break up with them? I don't know. I just, I always, I have a reason. If I do something and you ask me, I will have a reason. You might not like it or agree with it, but I won't act for no reason. And I find that a lot.
So there's a couple comments here. Somebody said, Frank and Shirley are beautiful people.
Wow, thank you.
You take good care of each other, and it makes for a beautiful relationship. I have to agree with that.
I love that.
You guys are so cute, and like when you post pictures of you two online, like back in the day or currently, and how proud you are of her, it's a really beautiful thing.
Well, thanks.
And I know she's so proud of you too. I love that. Somebody said something, and so we have a few Bible verses about friendship I wanted to read, and one of them, I don't remember which order it is, so we'll read through them here in a minute. But this person said, the company you keep is a reflection of your character, and it even says that in the Bible.
Yes, it does.
It says and one of the verses on here, I believe it's the second friendship verse I gave Joel, and if he brings it up, I'll be able to tell. But either way, we'll read it, because it's a good verse. But it talks about that.
Well, yeah, it says a lot about you.
Not that one.
That was the first one they put up.
Yeah. Therefore, encourage one another, build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. That is a good one too. You got to build your friends up, build your relationships up, whether it's a friendship, a family member, a spouse. If you got somebody in your life that's always negative, always bringing you down,
that's not good. I usually cut those people off because I don't want to deal with that. Also, building people up like your spouses or your boyfriend, that's important.
Yeah.
Because, I think you want to believe that the things you're doing are things that they respect or appreciate.
Absolutely.
Always telling somebody, that thanks for doing this, or hey, I appreciate you did that. That can never get old. I mean, that's something that you really need to be able to do with your spouse, or I'd say boyfriends or girlfriends or people in relationships, even friends.
Yeah, I think so. We have a friend, Tony, who's really good at that. He's always telling me how much he appreciates me, and telling Joel how much he appreciates him. He's so good at that, and I don't know if it's because of that's his personality or if he's just really learned over time. But he's taught me how to do that more.
He reminds me of another friend I have that when we talk on the phone, he doesn't live in the state anymore. I worked with him one time. He'll always say, "Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you." And I know where it's coming from, and it never gets old, because you feel the closeness and the warmth of a friendship.
Yeah.
And I hate to be the person to have a friendship that was like that blows up for no reason and you get just screwed over, and you know what that's like.
Yep.
And it makes you say, well, I'm not doing this ever again, but I'm not going to do that if I meet somebody or develop a friendship like you and I.
Yeah, we have a great friendship.
She doesn't exist anymore, but I wasn't going to let that affect me, or don't let people like that affect you from never trying to develop friendships. They're very hard to come by.
They are, especially in this world today.
I think they're...
Because people are willing, like I was telling you before the show, this guy was asking people on the street, kind of like the BS Project, but he was asking these people on the street, if you had a friend that wasn't vaccinated, would you be friends with them, or would you end that friendship? And everybody but one guy, and he put like 10 people on the video, everyone but one guy said, I would not be friends with them. And it's when we're in a world today where people are cutting off relationships, family members, friendships, because of a vaccination status, or whether they wear a mask, or if they believe the same things you do as far as politics.
Well, that's gotten out of hand, but the vaccination thing, look, if you want to get vaccinated and you believe your vaccination is what you need, that's great for you.
Yeah, I mean,
but the people that don't want to get vaccinated have the same right. It's not for me. I don't want to do it. So I've heard family members and other people say what you just said. They've lost friends and family and other thing over it. But I can see it. If you can't handle it, tough. I mean, it's my right.
Yep.
It's your right. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, we're at our break time, so I have more comments. I'm gonna get to them in a minute. But real quick, we have a couple sponsors. We've got Whitney Signs, which is amazing.
She has great signs.
Yeah, she's incredible. Her work is incredible. The husband and wife team, and they do an amazing job. And then Hitch and Post, their pizza's my favorite.
Yeah, they have great pizza.
It's really, really good. And then Joel's gonna play a couple little commercial thingies, and then we'll be back really quick. We're gonna make our breaks a little bit shorter to see if that helps keep people entertained. So we'll be back really fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Either recite or sing the first line of the national anthem.
I don't know.
Oh, say, can you see?
By the dawn's early light,
So proudly we hail to the twilight's last gleaming.
Tony.
Hey, we're back.
I'll
What's
be
up,
back.
guys? Okay, so I'm going to read some of these comments before we continue because there's quite a few. Somebody said trust is not easy. That's very true. I mean, I think we both have had experiences with that, and I think everybody has lately. Takes a lot to build trust, loyalty, and a strong commitment with relationships. Great friendships are hard to come by. You just got to be there for anyone who needs you, regardless if you or that person are having a hard time. Be a true friend. Yeah, that's true. I mean...
Well, when the chips are down or someone's having a hard time...
Yep.
I mean, I've known people that I didn't even like at work, but if they were dealing with something, I would help them.
Yeah.
If I could.
Absolutely.
But that's just in my nature.
That's a moral thing, too, I think. Yeah. Not everybody has that
they don't.
moral compass.
I think a lot of people can be pretty cold in today's society.
I agree.
Very standoffish, very cold, and if it doesn't involve me, I don't care type of thing.
Well, and the boys did a little call to arms last night about, like, being a true patriot. Yeah. And how, like, I think that kind of goes into relationships as well. Is you could say a lot on Facebook. You can claim you care about these things. You can, say, I'm a patriot. I care about this stuff. But if you're not willing to stand up and do something and actually participate in making things better, same with friendships. If you're not willing to participate in that friendship or being there for people, then it's all just a bunch of words. It doesn't mean a lot.
I have a question. Well, you might want to read something more there, but I have a question.
No, go ahead.
I wonder what your perspective is on social media, because it's so powerful with Twitter, Facebook, all these. I'm not on most of them, but how much can that play into the computer and the social stuff, into friendships and even marriages? And,
I think it messes with a lot of people.
I really do.
I think a lot of people allow what's going on social media to dictate their lives. We're seeing the censorship of anybody that has a Christian or conservative value. Yeah. And then you also have the aspect of bullying, even adults bullying other adults coming in. And so people are more concerned, it seems like they're more concerned about what this group of people think of me. And so I'm only going to post this stuff. And if I post something that's offensive, so if a friend posts something that's offensive, they might cut that friend off. Yeah. Because they don't agree with what they're... So I think social media has a big play in it. And also with marriages, if you don't have that trust and say your spouse is friends with a bunch of people of the opposite sex or doing things they shouldn't be doing on there, like looking and talking and doing things they shouldn't be doing. It's it's a really dangerous place to be. Yeah,
even the phone, because as you know, I got made fun of for years because I had that old flip phone for 17 years. Mm-hmm. I didn't carry it with me. I didn't care about it, but I used it. Yeah. And then truly, I had to get this new phone, and she's teaching me how to use it and all the stuff in it. Everything's in there. And no wonder why people get in trouble with a phone.
Direct access to everything.
I mean, they have everything in there, and I don't even like nothing to do with it. I'm not that type of phone person. Yeah. But I realized that the advent of the electronics and the high tech, people... I just wish people would realize that, hey, you know what? If you don't want to be with somebody, then don't be with them. Yeah. Just go out and do whatever the hell you want to do, but that way you don't have to hurt people. Yeah. Because there's a lot of ego in today's world.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's another driving
And the
force.
Constant need for, instant gratification, attention, and, I want this many likes or I want this many comments and stuff like that. Okay, so a couple more. Somebody said, I have had the same friends since kindergarten. Some of my friends are from kindergarten, still very special and very strong.
That's great.
It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
Like I said before, I have a lot of people that we know. We have a pretty big circle of friends, but then there's a very small circle of close friends that I personally have that I trust enough to have that tightness with. Yeah. And it's hard too because that can become a problem as well because you have so many obligations. But it really is. It's the quality of your friendships.
And I do like old friends for years and years. That's something special about that you can maintain a friendship for a long, long, long time.
Yeah. Joel has a couple of friends that he's had since he was a kid.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
They're a big part of our lives, our family. And it's really cool. I have a couple friends like that, but I don't see them very often because we don't live in the same place I grew up in. I grew up all over the place because I'm an Army brat. So I didn't have the same kind of childhood that Joel did.
It's tough because you're developing friendship when you're moving all the time.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It's hard.
It is. Somebody else said anyone who would end a friendship because of a vaccine was never really a friend. I agree.
Good point.
100%. Like, how can you say... and all these people were saying, it's a moral issue for me.
I can't get into that. There's nothing moral about a vaccine.
No, I'm sorry. Like, golly. Do you feel the same way? And I want to ask people that. If you would end a friendship because someone's not willing to get the COVID vaccine, would you end a friendship if somebody didn't get a flu vaccine?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question to ask people because I think it says a lot about who they are or what they're buying into.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is Fauci and the clown show. They've been wrong about everything back and forth. I don't see how people can take them seriously. And they censor all these other scientists and virologists and experts from all over the world that don't meet that narrative.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to understand there's a lot of people out there. It's not Fauci land, you know?
Well, and also, like, they had all these things they say that are, this is the truth, this is the science, and 5 minutes later, nope, sorry, we were wrong, this is the science, nope, sorry, we were wrong, now this is the science. How can you base relationships and morality on something that's constantly changing? They don't even know what the truth is.
No, they don't, and it's how the media pushes it. They've weaponized COVID instead of treating it and bring the therapeutics in. That will get the cases down because people will get over it quicker and they won't go to the hospital because they'll be using therapeutics.
Well, we both kind of had an experience with that.
Yes.
And realized, I mean, if they treated the COVID when you first get it, right?
Right.
In your experience, if they had treated it, do you think you would have had such a bad run?
Well, considering I almost did not make it, I would think that that's a perfect example of I had no idea that I was sick until I went to the ER, and I don't even remember anything after that. But if they had, I could go to the doctor, or they could prescribe therapeutics that are out there, I would never have gotten to that point. Yeah. How many people, I wonder, have died because they will not let, especially in blue states, not to be political, but in Florida, I mean, they've set up everything for therapeutics.
Somebody in the medical profession, I'll say, told me that in their home state, which is a southern state over, in the middle of the country, that they have actual clinics set up where they do the COVID, the region COVID, the thing I got, which was the antibodies treatment.
Yeah, the micro.
And you don't even have to have a prescription. All you have to do is have a positive test, and they will give it to you. No questions asked.
They do that in Florida. They've actually set up like temporary buildings where you can go to and get treatment.
Whereas in this state, I had to not only have a prescription for it, but I had to fight tooth and nail. Well, my husband had to fight tooth and nail for days and days and days and threaten to sue to get me the treatment. And only then did they give me the shot version, not the infusion version, which I've heard the infusion is better or at least easier on a person. I had 4 shots, so they gave me shot, and shot, and shot. I could have had it in my thighs, but I had them do it in my stomach because there's more cushion there, and I figured that was safer.
Better.
But 4 shots I had to have, and they were. But you know what? It obviously saved me.
Well, when they get $100,000 from the government for every COVID death, you really need to be worried. My friend that co-authored the book, he's very knowledgeable. He says, you're lucky you got out of that hospital because there's different stages of it, and not to get into it, but when you have the knowledge and you know what's actually going on and you're just not sitting back listening to Fauci and the CDC, it puts you, the more you know, the better you have, better you can handle it. Knowledge, you can't beat knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
Power.
I know we went off on a tangent, but
sorry about that.
That's what happens here because I don't plan it as strictly. I was telling you that because for me, if I plan it and like have every little thing I'm gonna say, it doesn't flow right. It's just not fun.
And
so
I'm like that too.
I like to just talk about whatever. But when it comes to relationships, I think it's really important to, when it comes to a marriage, and this is obviously my opinion, but if you're gonna go into a marriage, as a Christian, I firmly believe that God needs to be the center of it. And you have to really have that be a huge part of your marriage, because if he's not, you can easily fall into the traps of the world.
And they're all out there.
And give up.
It's a more than evil world right now. I mean, to be a real light warrior out there, a Christian, is challenging.
It is. And all of a sudden, Christians are the bad guy.
They're the bad guy. They try to keep you out of churches. And something just to touch on briefly, Shirley got COVID. I got it from her. But when she was sick and she had the symptoms of cold and everything, I was going in there helping her, and she goes, you should stay away. You know what? I didn't care. Because that's how I feel. And maybe I can look back on it and say, well, maybe I should have, but no, how she was the most important thing to me.
Yeah, that's your wife.
And if I get COVID, I get COVID. And, but I think that whole thing right there is, if you can get to a mental perspective on marriage or any relationship, that you're willing to just take whatever bullet happens because you're caring for your spouse. And I think that speaks volumes about your own individual relationship. Marriage,
Joel and I went through it together.
Like we did.
And just like you guys did.
We were out eating in Clackamas. Next thing you know, all of us had COVID.
Yep. And mine
just went down the tubes.
Yeah, yours.
I'm old.
No, they should have treated you, man. But
I looked at some of the treatments, not to stay on that, all these bills. All they gave me was a lot of D vitamins and this and that. I mean, they didn't even give me anything that I probably couldn't have gotten from a pharmacy.
Right.
I mean, in the pharmacy.
Over the counter.
Yeah, it was very infuriating.
Well, and somebody on here said that they had the infusion, the region code of infusion. It worked great, and it was the beginning of stages of the COVID, and they were back to work in 3 days.
Yeah.
So if you can get it that quick, if that treatment is that good, why are we not just shelling that out to everybody that gets it?
If you get it, because those people will be over it. They won't be spreading it or be contagious as long. They won't be going to the hospitals as much. So it makes simple, logical sense to treat the people. COVID's here. Treat the people. That'll take care of people going to the hospital. That'll take care of more people being, contagious. That's my view.
My sis did. I'm guessing that they're saying my sis is the one that went back to work in 3 days. That's Kaylin. The one that her brother was
3 days,
on there.
That's great. Just shows you.
Yeah, she's tough too, man. She's a pretty awesome person. I'm putting this over here, but I'll show you guys real quick because it's got to dry before I can do anything else. But I got the lines on the outline on there. It's hard to see with the camera, but it looks really cool.
I like the blue line under. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So now that I got that outline on there, I'm just sticking it aside so it can dry before I do anything else, because I don't want to smudge anything before I do more.
I watch you on here, your show, and doing that. Like I was telling her earlier, it was like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, because she's here just talking to people like you're in a living room, and it's a compliment.
Thank you.
Natural.
Appreciate that. Well, I'd love to hear what others people have to say. We don't have any new comments yet, but I'd love to see what people have to say. Their thoughts are on marriage, and then there's a couple more verse. Well, there's one more verse I think up there that we can share and talk about while we wait. This is the one I was talking about. Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise, become wise, for the companion of fools suffers harm. So we were talking about the company you keep is really important. I've been trying to teach my daughter this too, because kids, when they're Riley is one of those people that loves everybody.
Yeah.
And she wants everyone to be her best friend. She tells everyone they're her best friend because she truly believes that. And I was talking to her the other day because there's this one little girl that's just been bullying the mess out of her.
Really?
And she's still like, well, she's still my friend because I love her, because God loves her.
Wow.
And it's such a beautiful quality, but I told her, you can love people.
Wonderful.
You can love people, but keep them at a distance if they're dangerous for you. The people that are in your circle, that you're close with, that you spend most of your time with, need to be people that help build you up and continue to push those same morals and values.
What I like about that verse too is, and the other thing about it though, is that when you have a group of friends and someone's bullying, like if somebody's bullying my friend, I'm going to jam their head into a wall. You've got to stick up for people who can't stick up for themselves. That's why I became a police officer. But
that's awesome.
People are very leery to do that.
Yeah.
It's
They're
like,
too afraid to stand up.
Then they'll be the attention then the bullies will come after them.
Mm-hmm.
You bloody a bully's nose, I guarantee you it'll be the end of the bully.
Yeah,
in most
absolutely.
cases. But yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, you know, and it's funny because she's handling it really well. I mean, there's a lot of bullying going on with people in our family. A couple people, I won't tell the story because it's not my story to tell.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with a lot. And then Riley, with her situation, I mean, she could take it different ways. And I'm really thankful that she's got that strength behind her to say, you know what, I'm going to love her anyways. It's not going to affect me personally.
Yeah.
I'm still going to love her. And the fact that she can do that, that all comes from her dad, you guys. Her dad is one of those people who does not give a rip what people think.
Yeah, he's like me. I don't care.
It's amazing. He's taught me to be better at that.
Well, I think that, Alina, for instance, when we talked that one time, she was freely telling me about the bullying and what goes on, you know. And
there's a lot of it in the schools.
Boy, it's amazing, you know, more now than when I was. We always had the one bully.
Yeah.
But not usually multiple bullies.
Well, I talked about it last week when I was talking about kids, and it's like the bullying literally goes from when I was a kid, if you were getting bullied in school, that was the end of it. You come home, that's it, right? And usually it wasn't happening very much. Yeah. Now it's like you could be bullied at school, you could be bullied on social media, you could be bullied all the time. There's no escape. Yeah. And they are relentless, and it's just really crazy.
And then they never gets taken care of because I think some of them are bullies because they're parents, because you'd think if it became reported and they talked to their parents about it, they would rectify that.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Well, the parents don't even hold their kids accountable anymore.
I know, because they have bad parents.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if my kid's bullying somebody, well, he's in trouble. He won't bully anybody again.
I just read one of these. Okay, I'm going to read these comments because they made me laugh. Over here in Central Oregon, they're not as strict with getting the infusion of the Region Cove like they are over here. So that's probably why she was able to get that treatment and quickly get better.
They won't give nothing to you here, even if you're on
I mean, you gotta,
even
pretty
then.
much, even then. I mean, and not to tell your story, but you surely had to fight to get in there with you.
Yeah, and the only reason she was successful is because they said I was so difficult for them to handle. That's hard to believe.
No.
But they did. I mean, she came after the initial, well, we'll call you if he makes it through the night thing. They let her come every day, and she would spend 5 and 6 hours to bring me food because they couldn't deal with me. And she was a paramedic for 20 years. I mean, she knows more than they do.
Yeah.
So it really, that saved me.
I think so, too.
Because I was in a prison cell. They stick you in an ICU, and you're like a prison cell. And I didn't do well, so they didn't want to deal with me.
Well, she's a good wife, man. She's
great, man. That was
I know that was hard on her, and
it
was hard being on the outside and not having anything we could do but pray and be there. And I know, as if Joel was in that situation, I don't know if I could have been as strong as she was.
I tell you,
she's tough, man.
They wouldn't. She is brutal, and I am too. I mean, I remember times when she's getting picked on at work, and she'd tell me, and I get involved.
Yeah.
Period. That's what I'm gonna do. I mean,
right.
So that's just the way it is, and no one's gonna tell me different. Because if you mess with her, you're messing with me.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a whole different category.
That's how Joel is too.
I'll be a category 5.
Okay, what else we got here? Sometimes love means punching a bully in the nose. Yes. That's true. This is Kaylin. She says, "Who's bullying my niece? Anti-bodyguard engaged." So we have a little joke because she's taller than me. She's tougher than me. So she always calls herself my bodyguard as a friend, which I think most of my friends kind of feel that way. Yeah, I think most of my friends feel that way. Joel's my bodyguard, you're my bodyguard, but she teases about that all the time because she's tough, man.
That's sweet.
Yeah, she's awesome. You would like her a lot.
I'm sure
you guys are a lot alike. Jeremy Freedom said, "Hey, Brandy, you're doing great. Lots of people are taller than you." Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's short.
I'm not that short, but I am getting shorter. I've noticed. I think it's my knee surgeries or something. I don't know. Man.
Yeah.
I went from 5'8" to now I'm 5'6.5".
Yeah, but that's not like I know a lot of shorter people.
Whose comments did I not read? Oh, my give a fuck is busted. Is that the one?
What was that?
Somebody said I didn't read their comment. And then let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Something Twittergram. I can't really understand what that means. And then what else is it? And it absolutely does. God is the foundation. Yes.
Yeah, and there's no question about that because he's being phased out systematically by the government, by media, constraints not letting people go and worship. Yeah. And that's the beginning of the end.
It is.
My belief.
Well, and not to like stray too far from the topic.
Yeah, right. I don't want to get on that. We'll do that another show.
But I do want to say, God being phased out of everything is probably why we're in the position we're in now.
Because he's competition for them.
And also, like, it's even to the point, and I've said this a couple times, and I'm not anti-church. But the institution of the church these days has gotten so twisted in this woke generation, this ideology, and they're more focused on pleasing people than teaching the Bible. Yeah, and that's just getting me. Oh, it's driving me nuts.
Well, you know, I have religion all my life with my mom, but the Bible has been the cornerstone for me. I've read it cover to cover countless times. Try that, especially when it gets to the names.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know, that's my faith, and it's my driving force. It has been, it always will be, in life or death. That's all that matters to me is God. And what I do, I try to represent. Every day I try to represent myself so that he's happy with what I'm doing. Yeah. That's my gauge.
I like that. That's what I do too, I think. Yeah. I try.
I fail a lot, but I try.
And we're human, right? Yeah. Just like with relationships, we're humans, but if your heart is in it and you want to make it work and your heart's in the right place, I think starting with love, that's the first part.
I agree. Yeah. I just agree. And, you know, you don't have to be with a partner that is religious as you or in my church. And Shirley has her own beliefs. She knows me. She knows what I'm about, but I don't preach to her. I don't tell her what she should believe or what she should do. So it's great if both of them, you have similar religious beliefs, but you don't have to.
No, I think there's a big difference too, and Joel talks about this a lot, is religion versus that relationship. Yeah. So like the religion is the ritual, right? But your relationship with God and your family and the people you love is the foundation. So that love, that foundation is the love for God and the love for your people. And then religion is just the ritual that we choose, our preference of how we follow that.
I agree. I think the only Bible verse I ever quoted her was in Corinthians, where it talks about marriage, and if you have an unbelieving husband, sanctified by the believing wife. Mm-hmm. In other words, vice versa. Yeah. So if I'm a believer and I have a relationship with God and my spouse doesn't, married to me, she is sanctified through my belief. I never knew that until I read the Bible, and that's a pretty important verse.
That's a lot. Words, I don't think a lot of people.
You may not believe in God, but you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because you're with me, and that's what it says.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
It's fascinating.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, we have 4 minutes left. I wanted to get this in real quick. I love you too, Kaylin. And yes, we can do that. I will send you a message. She wants to do a devotional with me once a week, so that sounds cool. Great. I'd love to do that. And what else do we have? So there's no other comments here. I'd love to give a challenge to everybody to send in some ideas for not only ideas for the show, like show topics, things that you'd like me personally to talk about, but also I'd love to see. Now I've got an idea. We have this logo right now that was kind of quickly put up for me. It's that little the Campfire Discussions logo. And my daughter came up with this really good idea that's like a circle with a fire in the middle and then the words around it.
That's cool.
And I'd love to see if anybody else has any ideas, because maybe I'll pick one instead, and I'll pick the best one, or we'll have a vote or something. It would be really cool to see if anybody else has some ideas.
Yeah, I bet you get a lot of good ideas.
I think so. I think it's a good way to go, too, because I'm changing the logo. Yeah. And Joel said I have to do it quickly, so we got to do it fast. But I think why am I getting boom, boom? I keep getting boom on here. I don't know.
Can I show my Darth Vader?
Yeah, go for it.
I gave this to Brandy. It changes colors. It's Darth Vader. Luke,
it's a candle.
I am your father. But we put it
We're
right
gonna
here.
make the boys put it there too.
Yeah.
Well, not there because the eagle sits there, but somewhere.
Somewhere.
We'll make them put it somewhere.
You had
It'll
a great
stay on the
show.
stage.
I love your show.
Thank you. I enjoy doing it, and I'm more popular than the boys.
Well, you're natural. You're natural.
Well, I'm gonna talk about this real quick. So this is pretty much finished. So what you do when you're done, I will outline it a little bit better, make it a little bit more pretty at the same time, and then when you're done, you want to seal it. So if you're doing something like this, you always want to seal it with, it's a spray, it's a clear spray, and it's Rust-Oleum is the one I use.
Oh, I know that one.
And it could be either flat, it could be a gloss, it could be a satin, whichever one you want the look to be. I usually do gloss because it looks better.
So it protects it?
Yeah, it'll protect it. So even these signs could even be outside in the rain. They could be indoors. They can go through all kinds of stuff. I have a sign outside that's a big welcome sign that I did years ago. And it's still...
Oh, I seen it when I came in.
Yeah, and because I seal it every year. I put a new sealant on it, and it stays really nice. So if you're interested in doing these things, and next week I'll start the new sign. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. So we did pretty good. I think you did great, man.
Well, thank you. You did great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, Joel. Yes, of course. We'll always... Well, and I'm going to have your wife soon.
Yeah, well, she's
because I have a female topic that I really wanted her on for, but I think it's like 3 weeks away, so I got to check with her and make sure she's available.
Yeah, you can let her know. I mean, if she's, I think she's off Wednesdays and Thursdays the rest of in February too.
Oh, good.
So she'll be off on Thursday.
Perfect.
And I didn't know when you were going to have that, so I didn't know what to tell her, but
yeah,
that would be good for her.
It's movable, so if I need to move it, I can.
Yeah.
But I'll chat with her about it tomorrow. So Shirley, if you're watching, I'm calling you tomorrow before you go to work. Anything else you want to say to the people?
I just want people to be out there and try to treat your friends and your loved ones and your spouses as good as you can, because they're the most important people in your life.
Love people.
Brandy's my best friend.
Yeah.
I don't have many, that I call a friend like that. So it's important to have that in your life because it really adds a lot of support.
Yeah, it does. And, especially in the times we're going through now, if you don't have good friendships, people that love you and care about you to get you through these times, it can be really lonely.
Yes,
so
it can be
love
very
the people
much so.
that are in your life.
It is. There's times a lot of lonely people out there.
Yeah.
Especially in these times.
Yeah.
They're alienated and they're lonely, even when people are around them. But if you have someone that you can talk to about your problems, religion, vaccines, it makes a big difference in your life to be able to have someone to talk to about anything. That's a real friend.
Yeah. Oh, and be open and not judgmental. That's a big thing, too.
Yes.
Be loving, be open, be willing to talk about things that might be hard to talk about.
Yeah.
And don't write off people in your life because they might disagree with you, because disagreement is part of growing and becoming a bigger and better person.
Yeah, they're trying their best to separate and divide us. So
yeah,
if you can keep them from doing that,
they
lose.
That's right. All right. Well, that's it, guys. We'll see you next week. And be good. Send all that stuff in because that'll help me. And if you want to get a design in on my new logo, send it in the next couple days because we're going to reveal it next week. So it's going to fast process. I'm sorry. I just thought about it. So anyways, we'll see you later and have a good night.
Bye.
Where's Joel?